that we were going to Fort Benning, Georgia for jump school. And I said, y'all a bunch of crazy idiots too. I'm not going to jump out of an old airplane.
With being drafted to serve in Vietnam looming in his horizon, Louis Fathree decided the best option for his future was to enlist. The Air Force and Navy had already met their quotas, leaving Louis with two options.
And I damn sure didn't want to be in the Marines. So the next best thing was U.S. Army. And I'm kind of glad I joined the U.S. Army. I learned a whole lot from the military.
Finishing basic training, Louis was sent to Fort Benning to become a paratrooper. It wasn't until a few jumps in and having 75 pounds of equipment strapped to his body that Louis knew exactly what he had gotten into.
You put your hands on the outside of the fuselage and you literally force your way out of the door. And I didn't have a strong exit, and my butt hits the outside of that fuselage on the way out, and then on the next bounce, I bounced out, and then it bounced me out of the way from the aircraft. And this just scared the living crap out of me.
Louis would finish jump school and head to Fort Campbell with the 101st Airborne Division. Shortly after that, he was sent to Vietnam, fighting a young man's war.
When I got to Vietnam, I turned 21 in Vietnam. I was the oldest man in our company besides one person, and that was our first sergeant.
With just a few months in Vietnam, Louis would catch malaria, which would lead to a long treatment and recovery in the Philippines and in Japan.
Well, while I was at Japan, I thought I had been long enough away from my unit that I would be sent home, but so they sent me to Saigon, and then they sent me back to my unit.
Louis would spend the remainder of his tour as a supply sergeant, away from the front lines. Once back in the States, Louis would finish his time in service at Fort Hood. Louis found life outside of the military to be a challenge. After several years of being a civilian, Louis made an uncommon decision for the times.
And when I couldn't make a living as a welder, I decided I would just go back into the service.
Louis would re-enlist and spend 7 more years in the Army. He would then head back home and find success in welding.
I worked for one welder there in Fort Stockton for 30 years.
Since his time as a civilian, Louis says PTSD has been a struggle for him.
Whenever I came back, and I thought it was just natural that I was having nightmares.
Louis was able to find help through a PTSD program offered by the VA. Louis worked through his PTSD by talking about his experience he had had in Vietnam.
Don't get off into a corner and try to fight it yourself. Get with a group. Get with somebody that knows about your problem. Talk about it. The more you talk about it, the better you'll feel.